couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I got an email from Gavin Newsom's campaign, or at least from his office. I don't know if he's officially running yet, but it said, we're publishing his new book, and if you send us $1, it might have been $3, but no more than three. I think it was three. You'll get a copy of his book. And the book arrived a few days ago. It's called Young Man in a Hurry. And as cynical as I am about politicians, I'm going to say this is well written. It says also by Gavin Newsom, Citizenville. Young Man in a Hurry, a memoir of discovery, Gavin Newsom. And I'm going to read you the first 3 or 4 pages, and that's it. But I think, whoever is helping him put these books together, this is well written. To Montana, Hunter, Brooklyn, and Dutch, my 4 children, may they carry on the story. Young Man in a Hurry. Prologue. I am sitting in the office of our Mediterranean-style house in a green belt of Sacramento, a landscape that still feels foreign to me. All my life, the air I breathed blew in from the Pacific, the smell of sea and redwoods along the San Francisco coast. The bluff we now call home is rare high ground in the great flat land of the Central Valley. Our yard is studded with oaks and overlooks a river, the American, that carries a different scent. This is the river where the story of California, at least the gold rush version we like to tell ourselves, the shout of Eureka, Eureka, began. It is 5:30 in the morning in the middle of summer. I am writing this from a time and place when the seasons have already begun to lose their capacity to tell us what time and place it is. Spring used to mean the abundant snowmelt that recharged the rivers that flowed across the California plain. Spring, rivers deceived, now means another year of record drought. Summer, as a boy, meant traversing the Sierra Nevada with my father, William Newsom, explorations that always carried added meaning because he left us when I was so young, for reasons that neither he nor my mother ever made clear. In those years when he was most alive, he was determined to pass on to me his veneration of California's rivers and mountains. I now leave his old cabin in Dutch Flat in the hills of Gold Country, wondering if I might never see it again, for summer has become the season of fire. My time in office has been altered by 21st century pandemic and climate change, by drought and wildfire, and the rise of authoritarian forces whose contempt for democracy is its own flame. As the calamities have piled one on top of the other and challenged the very notion of governance, I cannot help but consider what remnant of state, what remnant of nation I will pass down to my 4 young children. In a life where my every movement as father and governor can feel orchestrated, the early morning allows me a sliver of space to call my own, where my mind can wander and find contemplation and reflection, if not a way out of catastrophe. If I were merely the governor of California, I might let the darkness sink deeper inside me. But I am a husband and father who doesn't want the convulsions of nature and politics to be all that his children remember of this time. And so on this day, the eve of the 4th of July, my wife Jen and I have decided to take the kids on a family excursion, a kayaking trip. Beyond our backyard, on the other side of a sandbar and a park, is the American River. I want to teach them the history its waters carry. Upstream from our house, in the year 1848, James Marshall, a dream seeker from New Jersey, found himself diverting enough of the river's flow to build a lumber mill for Johann August Sutter. Captain Sutter, as he liked to be called, was a fugitive who had traveled an even greater distance than Marshall to reinvent himself. The captain had erected a fort in present-day Midtown Sacramento and was looking to build the first empire of California. He couldn't very well see his way without lumber. The mill was nearly finished when, on the morning of January 24, 1848, Marshall caught sight of 3 shiny nuggets in the ditch beside the river. The cry of gold echoed. Tens of thousands of miners who knew little about mining arrived that first year from every corner of the globe. Madness ensued. As the newcomers rushed the Sierra foothills, running right past Sutter's fort, the captain could see the spoiling of his dream, if not the ruin that would soon befall him. Of course, the true invention of California was a story the school children of my generation were never taught. Certainly not by the nuns at Notre Dame de Victoire, where we wore little sailor outfits and blue socks up to our knees, and I got booted out in the third grade for one shortcoming or another. Surely not by my teachers at Neil Cummins K through 8 or Redwood High School. The story of California's original sin would have required a more forthright narration. How a century before gold's finding, the decimation of California's indigenous had commenced. While it played out haphazardly, there was no mistaking the result. California was born in genocide. I often find myself measuring this history, wondering about the warp speed at which the gold rush shot us forward, and whether so many of our challenges today are because we've never really rid our spirit of its voracious impulse. I weigh the water we are now mining from hundreds of feet below ground and the oil we keep on fracking. The lessons of the gold rush, the mountains it melted, the rivers it fouled, we Californians did not heed. Our collective forgetfulness, the grooved pattern by which we reach too far and grab too much again and again, is its own force of nature to behold. At the same time, I marvel at our capacity to invent and reinvent, the grit and ingenuity that run deep in that same spirit and imagine a new way forward that changes not only California's future, but also America's future, the world's future. The doomsayers in the East have been predicting the demise of California dream for as long as we've been dreaming it. And yet here we are. 3 iconic cities along the coast, a central valley that stands as the most productive farm belt in the world, a smaller valley called Silicon that gives birth to a new age of technology, winemaking in the north, movie making in the south, an organic foods movement hatched on counterculture farms and in the mom-and-pop grocery stores of Santa Cruz and Berkeley. Together, the regions of California are creating a new green economy that lessens our reliance on fossil fuels and offers a prototype that might yet stave off the worst of climate change. The talking heads on cable TV can pore over the numbers of California's in-migration and out-migration all they want, pronounce a mass exodus where none exists. But the fact remains, it is this regenerative California that continues to act as a powerful lure to a new generation of dreamers, all races, all creeds, from all places, not so different from those 49ers. Anyway, I think for a political book, that's pretty well written.